Hi, hello, and welcome to this week's video. I'm Courtney, and this is my life of projects where I share with you my knitting, spinning, quilting, and occasional embroidery. So grab your project and stitch along with me. So in this week's episode, since it's the end of the year and the last episode of the year, I thought I would share with you all of my completed projects for 2022. I'm going to start off with knitting and then do quilting and the very small amount of embroidery and spinning at the end, and I'll have the timestamps down below, so if you're only interested in one section, you can skip ahead. This is the first project that I finished in 2022. I finished this one in February. This is the Just a Hat pattern. It's on Ravelry, and I'll have links to all of my project pages down below where you can find any details and the patterns as well. But I knit this in Plymouth Yarn Homestead, and this is actually a hat for my spouse. It has gotten a lot of wear, and it definitely has some pilling that you can see, and honestly, I could go ahead and take that off and probably give this a decent deep clean, but it has held up really, really well. This is kind of their go-to-work hat that gets worn quite a bit in the winter, and I have my tag on here that I got from Etsy. I will try to find the seller and link it down in the description, but really easy and quick hat, and it was a really nice yarn to work with as well. I love the tweed, and my spouse loves anything tweed, and I'm surprised honestly at how little this has pilled, and I've not picked any of the pills off since I made it, and it's been worn for like 1.5 winters now, and it's doing pretty well. So I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I will probably end up making another one of these because they do wear it so much. Then the next project that I finished was the chai latte beanie, and I actually made 2 of these, and I can't remember if the first one was in 2022 or if I finished that in 2021 and then made this one. I don't remember which order that happened in, but I did end up making 2 because the first time I knit this, it was way too small. It fit a child, and it has since been gifted to a child. I would have to go back and look at my notes, which I probably didn't like write anything down. I don't remember why it didn't fit. I think I just needed to add another repeat. Maybe the yarn I used was too thick. And this is Rowan Big Wool that I used for this. But I love the pattern. I love the cabling. It's really different from your traditional like twisted cables. It has almost more of like a herringbone look to it. And I put a pom on top. It's one of those faux fur poms that you can get at most local yarn stores or on Jimmy Bean's wool these days. But this is the size that's appropriate for me that fit. I had to end up making 2 because the first one didn't fit. I'm glad I made a second one for me because I really, really love this pattern. I just think it's a cute, basic hat for winter. And the cable, I think, really adds just a little bit of something different rather than just being like a plain ribbed basic black hat. So I wore this a little bit last year, but I didn't actually finish this one until April, so I didn't get to wear it a whole lot because in April it did start warming up, but I have worn this winter and I really like this hat. I think it looks super cute and I'm going to get a lot more wear out of it, I'm sure. So the next hat that I finished is this one, which was also for my spouse. It is just a basic hat. There is no pattern. I just kind of knew how many stitches I needed to cast on, and I think I probably cast it on 2 or 3 times to figure it out, but I just did a really simple, basic stockinette stitch hat. And this is the Rowan Chunky Twist, I think. But this is a super, super, super warm yarn, so they actually haven't worn this that much because it's entirely too hot for them most of the time. And you can see it has not really had much pilling or anything, even though I do feel like this yarn would be prone to that. It's held up for the times that it has been worn really well, and I've got my tag on there. So yeah, this was a very easy and quick hat. and it also is insanely warm. So if you need something, if you're in a colder climate like Vermont, the Rowan Chunky Twist is a super, super warm yarn for that. Then I also finished a pair of socks for my spouse, and I will pop a picture in here because they're actually in the laundry because they wear them so much. But this is just my basic sock pattern. It's just a plain vanilla top-down sock, and this is in the Malabrigo sock yarn. And I probably started these in 2021, but I finished them in April or May of this year, and they have gotten a lot of wear. And this is, I think, the second pair of socks that I've knit my spouse, so they do wear their hand knit socks quite a bit, so I need to make them some more, and I got some yarn for Christmas to make them socks. So it was kind of a joint present, but this was one of my never-ending sock projects. I always have socks on the needles, and so as soon as I was done with this pair, I cast on another pair of socks. Then I also made this baby berry hat. This is a pattern that I have used for a decade now to make baby hats. I just really love how cute and different it is from your traditional kind of rolled brim baby hat. So I either usually do a purple berry or a strawberry like this one, or if it's a fall baby, I usually do like a pumpkin color, and that's super cute, especially for pictures in the fall for little ones that are born then. But this was for a friend who adopted a baby this summer, and I finished this one up I think in August and mailed it off to them, so it's already gotten use. This pattern is definitely my go-to baby gift pattern because it is so quick to knit. I think it's really different from any other knitted gifts that a parent typically gets. And at this point I have a stockpile of the cotton yarns that I used for this. For this one I used the Cascade Avalon, and I really enjoy making these for quick baby gifts, and they're really fun to give as gifts as well. The next project that I finished were these socks, and I'll pop a better picture up here because I just pulled these out of my drawer. I wear them quite often. These are the plain vanilla sock that I always make. This is what I cast on right after I finished the socks for my spouse. But these are in Skein Cocaine Hot Sock, and that's a yarn dyed by Gina, and she has a YouTube channel, so I'll link her YouTube and her Instagram down below. She is someone I've known for a really long time. You definitely should check out her YouTube channel as well. But I was super happy to get these socks done, and I've worn them several times this fall. I love wearing them with my Birkenstocks. It's a super Vermont thing to do, is wear your hand knit socks with your Birkenstocks, especially in the spring or fall. So I really enjoy wearing these, and as soon as I finish these, I cast on another pair of socks. So it's the never-ending sock project. Someday I'll have to do like a sock drawer tour, and I'll have to show you the many pairs of socks that I've knit over the years. But I am primarily a sock knitter, so there's always going to be at least a few sock projects that I do throughout the year. Then in December, I finished the lotus flower beanie that was for my friend Anne. So I'll pop a picture over here because that has been mailed off to her. I'm sorry if you can hear the cats running around in the background. They've decided it's playtime. But this was her request for the holidays, so I knit this up for her, and I still have to make one for myself. I knit this in the Malabrigo Rasta, and I really love this pattern. As I mentioned in some of my previous videos during Vlogmas, this was a super fun and super easy pattern to make, and there are actually several variations with some of the kind of little lotus patterns only being at the bottom, and I think I might want to make a few more of these because they are really easy and really fast and make great gifts as well. I fell in love with this pattern. I'm really glad that Anne asked me to make it for her because now I'm at least going to make one or two more. So this was a really fun and quick knit for December. Then I also finished the Appalachian Trail hat, even though it annoyed me and I had to restart it I think twice. But it's done, it's mailed off, it doesn't exactly fit the person it was intended to because it was actually for Anne's spouse, Mike. And yeah, Mike, I'm sorry, it's your fault, your head's too big. But I'm gonna work on another hat for Mike, and now that he knows he's getting a hat, I can say who it's for when I do start working on that. So I'm debating doing one similar to what I did for Anne with the lotus flower beanie because he tried that one on, and it mostly fit. If I just add another, I think 4 or 5 stitches in there, it should fit. I'm also debating doing the Appalachian Trail hat again because now I feel like I can't let it beat me. So I think if I add another maybe 20 stitches, it will fit him. So I'm not sure which way I'm going to go yet. I need to go get yarn for that, whichever route I decide to go. But I'm counting the Appalachian Trail hat as finished because it is finished and it does fit Anne. So at least someone in that family will wear it. Mike is still going to get some hat at some point in time because it's going to irritate me until I make him a hat. He needs a hat. Just decided this is a thing. So we'll get there eventually, but that one is finished for now. Then I kind of want to count this as finished, but not really. I shouldn't technically as of right now when I'm filming this, but I'm almost done with the Gretter sweater that I have been working on since 2018. So I'm on the collar, and I think I actually need to rip back a little bit because I was worried that it was a little too loose. So I knit an extra couple rows of decreases, and now I think that's making it like too long, like going up the neck. And so I need to either measure it or try it on to see kind of where that is laying. But all I have to do is finish the ribbing on the neck once I decide if that's hitting the right spot or not, and then do the joins underneath the arms, and so like weave in the ends. But I count it as done if it's, you know, all together. Weaving in the ends, that can come later. But it's so close to being done. It will probably be done by the end of the week. Let's say that. So I'm going to work on it today, but I don't suppose I can count it as fully done in this video. But I at least had to mention it. Then for quilts, I finished 5 total quilting sewing projects. Not all of them were full-sized quilts, but I finished 5 projects this year, and the first of those was the Hocus Pocus quilt, which I did not finish until September, October. The first half of the year, I didn't really do as much. We were struggling with a little bit of depression for a while there, and not a lot got done in any crafting realm. But I mean, that's what depression does. You don't do the hobbies and things that you used to enjoy. And then you need to go see your doctor and therapist and get the help that makes you feel better. So I'm thankful for the supports that I have. And if you also are struggling with depression, especially at this time of the year, you're not alone. It's something that I've dealt with many times over the years, and there's no shame in needing help or needing medication. So if it is something that's on your mind, this is maybe the universe telling you it's time to reach out and get the help that you need. So I didn't get a whole lot done. I'm okay with that. But the first quilt project I finished was in October. So it took me quite some time to find it in me to get back to that hobby. So I finished the Hocus Pocus quilt, which I was super, super excited about. This is a pattern from Corinne Savoy, and she is a graphic designer turned quilter / quilt designer. She does incredible patterns. I love how bright her patterns and her example quilts always are, and I just love her aesthetic. So I started this quilt back in 2020, and I finally finished it this year. I'm so happy to have it on the couch. I took it out to a roadside pumpkin stand and took pictures with it, because I love it so much. It deserves to have really beautiful pictures taken. So I'm really happy that I did manage to finish this quilt. That was the first quilt that I finished this year. Then the next quilt that I worked on was the Maypole quilt, and I did the baby size, and that pattern is by Susie Quilts. This was for my friend who had a baby earlier this year. I did not get the quilt to her until probably October, but she had a baby a couple years ago, and I made this same quilt in different colors for her first child. Then I wanted to make the same quilt for her second child, just in different colors, so they each kind of had the same quilt from Aunt Courtney, which is how I'm referred to in her family. And I love both her kids so, so much. So I was really happy to get this one done and sent off to her so the kids could enjoy it. Then, as you saw in some of my earlier videos, I did a panel quilt. My aunt found this truck panel in a quilt shop when she was visiting, and my mom's house holiday theme is the red trucks with Christmas trees in them. So my aunt grabbed this for her and asked if I could make it into a quilt. So I finished that, and we gave that to my mom when we did our Thanks Christmas giving in November. So that one was really, really quick and easy project. Since it was just the panel, all I had to do was add the borders and the backing, and I was happy to do that for my aunt so she could gift that to mom. So that one's already on the couch and being enjoyed as well. Then, as you saw in Vlogmas, I finished 2 mini quilts. One was a half square triangle quilt where I just kind of put some scrap fabrics I had together to make a really cute kind of retro modern colored half square triangle mini quilt. I love this one. It is slightly off in some of the lines. I didn't do the best job at trimming my half square triangles because they were just scraps. It's just going on the wall for decoration. It doesn't matter a whole lot to me, but I like the colors and I like the layout that I did for this. So I think it'll be on the wall for the holidays for the next couple of years until I decide to make a new one. Then I did this mod tree quilt, and I absolutely love the look of this one. Instead of having the 45-degree angles on the edges, I like having the more squared off kind of mod looking little Christmas tree, and I kind of want to make this into a large quilt for maybe the couch, and then do a couple other blocks that have kind of a similar design. So I might play around with that next year. We'll see. I have other quilts that definitely need to take priority over that, but I loved doing this wall quilt, and I think I'm going to try to do something similar in a bigger size as well. Let's just hope I can read my notes when I was making this pattern up. They were interesting to say the least. So we'll see what happens with that in the future, but another finished project that I can check off the list for the year. Then also in Vlogmas, you saw me finish this snowflake embroidery. It was a really, really quick pattern that I got on Etsy. And if you can't tell, the end of the year is where I got a lot more done, both in sewing and embroidery, and honestly knitting and spinning as well. So again, thanks to doctors and medications for helping with the depression. But I really like this embroidery piece. Most of the embroidery that I have are either wall hangings, or I put them on the coffee table in the living room to cover the remotes to our sound system and our TV, because I don't like the ugly black plastic. So that's where this one goes. And I have another one that I need to finish that will be my spring living room embroidery piece. So I love this one. I'm glad that I found this pattern and did it, and it's such a quick and easy embroidery. I may have to do this one again for gifts because I really enjoyed this pattern. Then for spinning projects, I'm counting them finished if I completed the journey from roving to spun yarn that could be used by someone somewhere. So this is a very old roving that I had. It's from Two of by Hand, which are no longer in business. They were a wonderful partnership of 2 women that did dyeing of different fandom colorways, and I really, really loved their stuff. So I've hoarded some of it for years, but this was the Prophecy colorway, and it is in superwash merino. I finished spinning this, I'm gonna say October. Yeah, I was plying it when my parents came to visit, so that was October of this year. So I actually don't know what I'm going to make with this. If anything, it may be gifted to someone who likes these colors a little bit better. I don't tend to wear a lot of red or this kind of lighter blue. It's just not my color. And this project really taught me that I need to go back kind of to spinning 101 and really think more intentionally about the color placement as I'm spinning the singles. So I actually ordered a back issue of ply that goes over color. So I really want to take the time to go through that and then think about how I'm drafting the roving beforehand on the next colored spinning project that I'm doing. Right now I have some baby camel on the wheel, and it's kind of all the same variegated brown and cream, so that one will be fine. But when I'm doing color work next with spinning, I really want to try to get an end product that I like a lot more and doesn't have the colors so kind of mixed up. So I'm going to see what I can glean from looking through ply and having a better understanding of how to work with color when I'm spinning. So that's kind of my 2023 goals for spinning. Speaking of which, that's a great segue into wrapping up this vlog, because in the next video, I'm going to share with you my 2023 goals and the projects I want to make in 2023. So like with spinning, there are a few goals that are focused around the craft but aren't specifically project related that I want to work on. So improving my skill set in certain areas, like making friends with curves and sewing and learning more about color and working with color when I'm spinning. So I will talk more about those goals and what projects I'm planning on working on in the next video next week. But I hope you enjoyed this video and my look back at 2022 to see all of the projects that I made. And definitely let me know if there are any of these projects that you're thinking about making. Drop me a comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe so you can catch the next video. And I will see you in the next one.